Peace and love, everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please like and subscribe. And I'm so very happy to be here with you all this evening. It is Monday, Moon Day, May 12th, 2025. All is well. I hope all is well with you all as well, wherever you are. May you be surrounded by love, peace, and happiness. And this evening, I'm trying to get myself comfortable. I'm in a different room in the house, and yeah, trying to get it together, y'all. So, peace and love. And I want to welcome everybody this evening. And tonight is going to be part two of the show last week. So, if you missed last week, and I'm sure you didn't, but if you did, make sure you go back and watch last week so you'll be prepared for tonight and kind of have a better um, understanding of what we're talking about. So, tonight we're talking about the power of music and how music transcends dimensions. And there's a brief alert, so I'm gonna let you all know now. Spoiler alert. I'm going to be talking and referencing the new movie called Sinners that's out now. That movie is the inspiration for this series because before I actually saw the film, everybody was talking about the music in the film, the music and how inspiring, how it moved people, how it touched a lot of people, and how that made the movie more memorable. So that's what we're going to be talking about because music plays such an integral role um, in life, not only in film. And what would a movie or a TV show be without music? Like, if you really think about it, every show has a theme song, movies have a soundtrack, and a lot of times soundtracks um, make the film more exciting. And sometimes the soundtrack is more memorable than the film itself. Sometimes people, when they hear certain songs, they know, oh, that's from that movie such and such. And you can be in a different place and you'll hear the music or a theme song for your favorite show or a certain, whatever, all of those things matter because music is such an integral part of life. And we started talking about that last week and just how important music is and what music actually is, because music is a form of sound. It's actually a form of sound that is pleasing to the ears. And my definition of music is sounds combined to produce harmony, express feelings and emotions, and convey a message and to connect across dimensions. That's my definition because music is all of that and more. Music does express feelings, it can trigger feelings, and it can even be instrumental. You can listen to instrumental music and it will move you a certain way or make you feel certain feelings or emotions because that's how powerful music is. It's not just ordinary sounds, it's extraordinary. And music is something, last week we talked about how music is something that transcends cultures because all cultures use music in some form. Music is used during celebratory times. Music is used when you're alerting the people and warning them that, danger is coming or there's a war going on or something adverse is happening. They may play drums or something like that to alert people. So, music is used during mourning. This mourning as in, someone has passed, or in sorrow, there's music and songs to comfort, music to remember or to sometimes guide the soul, if you will, when it's transitioning. And then there's music that is for to invoke excitement. Like in parades, they always have music. They have marching bands. If you go to certain sport events, they have a band. The battle of the bands. They have the especially HBCUs have bands that perform and during their halftime. Um, Even things like the Super Bowl, they have a halftime moment, where different performers perform. So that's how important music is. Music marks transitions in life. When a person's getting married, there's songs for marriage. Here, in American culture, they play "Here Comes the Bride." When you're at a ceremony, you hear that dun 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 dun. The bride is coming. There's other songs and other cultures that alert you. The same sentiment is just a different kind of song. It may be songs are passed down from generation to generation. Music can also uh just alert different things. And music can also be healing if it's done with that intention. And I think what makes one of the things that makes music powerful is the intention behind it. So it's not just its frequency. It's not just the sound and the vibration and the instruments that's used. It's also the intent. And music can be attuned to different frequencies. There's frequencies that heal certain organs, that can soothe the nervous system. There's certain frequencies that can induce a peaceful sleep. They've done research where people were having health challenges and they started humming, and they had electrodes on them, monitoring their blood pressure, monitoring their brain waves, and the humming or the chants or whatever they were doing actually caused a chemical reaction in their bodies. I saw a documentary one time. They were studying how the monks, they were Buddhist monks, how they maintain their health and maintain sustained meditative states. And so, they were studying them, and they had different chants for different things. They had a chant that for healing. They had a chant to help them conquer temptation or low vibrational energies. Ones that evoke different spirit, well, whatever they were for different purposes. And when they monitored them, they noticed that their brain waves changed. They noticed that blood pressure was lowered. They noticed that certain things were happening internally based on the sound and the frequency of the sound. We also know about the power of word, which you say can either build or destroy. And the same is true for music. Music can be uplifting, it can be healing, nurturing, it can be a tool to help you transcend or tap into other dimensions, particularly higher dimensions. But music can also create the opposite. There's some music or sound that can be dangerous. They are actually sound weapons. It's a sound attuned to a certain frequency, and it can cause damage to the body. It can cause you know maybe even death. Who knows? They even have yeah, because they have sound weapons. They have weapons that can cause things to break, and people to get disoriented. So all of that can happen with the power of sound. It just all depends on the frequency and what vibration it creates and how we use it, the intention behind it. Last week we talked about and we explored how spiritual practices often accompany music. And so I was going to talk a little bit more about that today. Spirituality and music seem to go hand in hand because a lot of ceremony is accompanied by some form of sound. The sound could be chants, the sounds could be zikr, the sounds could be, um, singing, hand clapping, um, the rattle, the drum, the flute, whatever. All of those things accompany spirituality. Nearly all spirituality uses some form of music. And, music can just be simply the human voice. And that is what makes it powerful is the ceremony accompanied by the music or the sound. I've been to different ceremonies and witnessed different ceremonies, and I know that sound and music is such an important part. When people hear it, they respond. I've been in sweat lodge ceremonies before, and there's special songs for that the medicine people will share, and the songs are to evoke deeper healing. Sometimes, the call ancestral spirits, higher spirits, or just to calm people, or whatever the purpose is. And it's always, ceremonies always, almost always, are accompanied by some type of music. If you go to church, there's singing, hand clapping, sometimes dancing, different musical instruments. There's praise breaks where people, just have to dance and rejoice and shout. And in the Islamic world, we have the call to prayer, or the adhan, which is said, which is used with the human voice. And um reciting the Quran, if you've ever heard anyone recite it, it has a beautiful melody to it, a musical quality that many people have said is soothing, and have actually done research on it in its mathematical qualities, as well as many other religions have chants, prayers, mantras, decrees, whatever you want to call them. Some of them are ancient. Um, the sounds, the vowels are ancient. It goes back thousands, if years, maybe even longer than that. And these sounds are sacred. In fact, our alphabets that we use around the world, people say originated from ancient sacred sounds. Each letter of the alphabet um, represents a specific sound frequency, and the vowels help give it that extra, I guess, that extra layer of vibration, if you will. And so all of that is going on a regular basis, and we just kind of take these things for granted, or we're so used to it. It's such a part of life that we don't really think about just how important music is and sound. I don't think I've ever met anyone that says they don't like music. They may not like the same kind of music I like, or they may not like certain types of music. Some people I have heard some people say that they didn't listen to a lot of music growing up, so they didn't develop appreciation for it until they got older, and they had to listen to different genres of music to see which ones actually resonated with them, or which ones they enjoyed, which I think is very unfortunate. But music is something that is a part of my daily life. I play music a lot at home. I prefer to listen to music than watch television. That's just, my preference. And the music is just, it's healing, it's soothing, it can help change your mood. Some music helps you get through the day faster, and I just enjoy different, genres of music a lot. But it's very, very soothing if you use it for that purpose. Music, when it comes to spiritual practices and spirituality, music can awaken certain states of consciousness, which is why it's used in ceremony, shamanic journeys, healing songs, um, testifying in church, ikaros, etc., doing shamanic healings and ceremonies, spirit journeys, or whatever, vision quests. All of these things oftentimes include some form of music. I have seen where people were in ceremony, healing ceremonies with certain healers, medicine people, shamans, whatever you want to call them, and they will guide the person to seek a song. Or sometimes in ceremony, people will hear a song and they'll ask, they'll sing it aloud or whatever. All of this is important because the sound, the vibration, and the frequency is healing. Music heals. Music is made up of sacred sounds, like I said, from the sounds of the alphabet. Um, is All music is not the same, which we know that. That's what makes it unique. And I think that music that is coming from our ancestors is so much more than what we are aware of. Music is so much more than what we are aware of. And for centuries, Native American people and other indigenous people were not allowed to practice their traditions. The Indian Religious Freedom Act was passed and granted August 11th, 1978, here in the United States. And it allowed American Indians the right, believe it or not, the right to protect to practice their traditional beliefs. Before that, it was considered illegal for them to have certain sacred ceremonies and to practice their traditional beliefs. And this was traditional beliefs and ceremonies were banned in a lot of places in the world, particularly after colonization and indoctrination and assimilation, when people were forced to give up sometimes their languages, their religions, their folk ways, their principles, their history. And along with that, their songs went with them, which is, the songs help them stay connected to their ancestors. The songs help them stay connected to their spiritual beliefs. The songs and the music help them stay connected to one another. And so without those things being passed down from generation to generation, a lot of history, a lot of wisdom was lost. And one way you can reclaim that sacred knowledge is to reclaim the songs and to remember the songs, um, and to relearn them. If they've been forgotten in time, to learn them. And the colonizers forbade these, traditional songs, dances. Sometimes they said they were evil and from, devil worship, or different things that they said, whether it they feared them and that's why, and misunderstood them, and that's why they said that, or if they were just saying that because they wanted it replaced with their own songs and dances, which they may have felt were superior. But song and dance was used to mark very important events and ceremonial times in people's lives. So the colonizers didn't want them to maintain those ancestral ways and traditions and knowledge and beliefs and those sacred ceremonies. So they had to take that away. Um, I remember not too long ago, I was watching a cartoon with my grandson. It's called Molly of Denali, and there was a scene. One of the cartoon episodes was called Grandpa's Drum, and he, if you're not familiar with that cartoon, it's about a little native Alaskan native girl, and she found a picture of her grandfather when he was a little boy playing a drum with another little girl, and she asked him about that, and he said, I don't drum anymore, I don't sing songs anymore. And she was like, well, how can you not sing? And he said, well, I was sent away to a boarding school, and they took my drum from me, and so the songs went with it, and that's why I don't sing. And so you had to see the rest of the cartoon to see the outcome. However, it had a very powerful message in it, and a very thoughtful message that, these songs are more than just entertainment. So our music is more than just entertainment. Yes, we use music for that purpose, but that's not its sole purpose, because I said everything we do has meaning, has a sacredness to it. There's a sacredness in, how you adorn yourself. There's a sacredness in how you practice, your spirituality. There's a sacredness in how you eat and nourish yourself. There's a sacredness in your movement, your exercise, your, whether it's yoga, tai chi, or other forms of martial arts, whatever it is. All of that has a sacred purpose, and so does our music. So did our music and our ancestors' music. And the music is, and the songs is all intended to either convey a message, to heal, or to connect to one another, and to connect to the ancestors, which were a part of us and a part of our communities. So we use music at key times in our lives, to celebrate births, to celebrate harvest season, which was really important, especially to people who were agriculture based. Other special events. There's also praise songs to tell of a person's exploits in battle, or to tell the story of their ancestors, or other important moments. Also, the music was used to make announcements, to call the community together, whether in times of, adversity or not. And when it comes to the praise songs were songs that, some of them were like storytelling. And this was something that was used in ancient times. And some people still do it. I've seen some people still practice that. The praise songs were just that, songs to praise someone, a king, a queen, a chieftain, or somebody that has high status in a community. People had praise songs to praise them, to praise their ancestors, and all, tell, the long lineage that they come from. Then there's honor songs, and that's just what they are, songs to honor you, that you sing to give somebody that honor and that praise and that glory, and also to express honor in certain moments. All of that is important, and spirit, very, very spiritual purposes for this music and for sound. um some songs and chants and music was used to summon spirits and summon the ancestors, summon the angelic realm, some songs to praise the most high, praise songs like, psalms in the Bible. Also songs were used to summon the elements of nature. I saw a short film one time from Africa. I don't remember the name of it, and I think I may have seen it on Netflix, but I saw it about maybe a year or two ago, and it's a story of a community that was experienced a drought, and the drought lasted for a very long time, and there was this special bird, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I saw it, but the people were dancing and doing a special dance to bring the rain, and then eventually the rains did come. And I've also read some stories, many folk tales. I have a book around here somewhere. It's a children's story. It's a folk tale from South America, actually, about a similar phenomenon. And there was a drought. The people, needed water. They couldn't find it. The animals were, thirsty. Everyone was looking up at the sky, pleading. They needed rain. And then there was a ceremony that the people did, and that involved song and dance. And it evoked, there was some big bird, like a thunderbird or something in the story. And I've read the story through, it transcends different cultures, but it's slightly different. But the book that I have here, the there was a huge bird that represented thunder and lightning, the elements of the storm. And the bird was sleeping, and so the people danced and sang and drummed, and they made enough noise, and the animals joined them. And in the noise making and the music making, it startled the bird, which represent, the storm, thunder and lightning, rain clouds. And he moved, and the rain started to come. And so that's just one of many folk tales that I have heard about when it comes to some element in nature that needed to be evoked through music, through song and dance. So that's the importance that people put on music. And then these stories, these folk tales, and these parables, what makes them special, what makes them important, is they all have a message, and they're sent down generation to generation. And oftentimes there's a song associated with these stories, you know. And just think about, you've heard probably many times about stories of rain dancing, or um, things of that nature, and how music can help create a connection with the divine realm and the higher realms, and how music can help you not only access that realm, but music can put you in a certain frame of mind, so that you can have those that spiritual connection, and that spiritual experience. A lot of our music, and especially songs, are a form of poetry, and are very much a form of storytelling. Storytelling is something else that is ancient and goes back many, many generations. But music is a form of storytelling, and I think that's where the blues music comes from. If you've ever heard blues, a lot of it started with a story. They would just start singing a song, telling a story, accompanied by, foot stomping, or a banjo, or a guitar, or a harmonica, or some other instrument. And what made the songs memorable and catchy to people is the storyline in it. And so um I would say that music and poetry go together. And I think music is probably, I wouldn't know which one comes first, but I would say they're both powerful, they're both significant. But The storytelling aspect is a lot of what makes music memorable. And the storytelling is so important because it's it's something that everybody can relate to in some way, and that's what makes it the songs memorable. Now the blues, I learned in college, was a genre of music that influenced all other genres in American music, they said. And blues music comes from the rural South. You know, it originated as country blues, and people just put their feelings, their emotions, and their sentiments into this music as they told a story, accompanied by, instruments or clapping or stomping or whatever. And that music was born from that. So, it comes from a deep place within your soul, expressing feelings of loss or sadness or heartache. That's why it was called the blues, or whatever it was that was hurting you, or you felt um, saddened by. This is what fueled the creation of that music. And the music, particularly blues music, and really all music, but it gives us a glimpse into who we are and where we come from. It's our ancestral music. So I wanted to also remind you how music is so powerful, and it's a very important part in movies. Movies are visual, and without the music, what would we have in a movie? Because the music alerts you when something's getting ready to happen. And a lot of movies have very memorable music scenes. For example, the music, The Color Purple, the scene where the woman was singing at the juke joint, and she overheard a song from her father's church. And then, they had that scene. And then the movie Beloved, when they were singing outside. um and now the movie Sinners, they all have memorable, powerful scenes involving music that touch people in different ways. It just depends on what you got out of it, and how you felt when you heard it. But all these scenes in these movies, and there's several others, I just can't remember all of them right now, they all depict and demonstrate to us the power of music, especially our ancestors' music. So, with that said, remember, family, we are all on this healing journey together. We've inherited a lot from the past, but we are clearing thousands of years of outdated conditioning as we grow and heal together. And we can allow music to help us heal and to help us connect to our history, our ancestors, know a little bit more about where we come from. And music and sound can do all of that. So with that said, I hope you all check the movie out. Maybe we could have another live and we could talk about it some more. And I want you all to go in peace this week. um, Enjoy love, peace, prosperity, good health, and freedom to each and every one of you. Until next time, peace and love.